I know, that comes up 6. What comes up with 6? I did. I went over to the bottom and still wasn't there. It wasn't there. It wasn't there. That's all we got on there. The whole time. Okay, it's a little bit after 6. As a matter of fact, 6:02. Make sure we have all the commissioners present. Commissioner Martin is available. Commissioner Cason's here. Mayor Pro Tem Harris, and also Commissioner Williams and myself were here. So we will get started. I'd like to call to order the City Commission meeting dated Wednesday, January the 20th. People who are in attendance, we will rise for our invocation led by Commissioner Williams, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, which I would do myself. So let's please rise for our invocation, please.
Let us bow. Eternal God, our Father, we come now in the name of your Son, Jesus. Father, we honor you today because you're God and you're God alone. Father, we thank you for this wonderful city in which we live, this county, this state, and even this country, God. We thank you for the smooth transition of power on today as we installed a new president. Father, we ask now that you would guide his administration, and not only his administration, but guide us here tonight. Father God, that the decision that we make will be in the best interest of this community and this city, so that we'll be able to do the things that are necessary in this place that we call home. Father, we thank you and we give you great praise. We ask these blessings in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, thank you all for coming out this evening. This is a virtual meeting, a hybrid meeting. Some of our commissioners are online virtually, and of course, myself and Commissioner Williams are here to receive you all as you come forward. This evening, as we start off our meeting, before I begin, Commissioner, is there any addition or deletion I need to add to the agenda?
Not to my knowledge, sir.
Mr. City Attorney, is anything?
Yes, we do. We need to add an amendment
For the resolution.
Yes, thank you. I don't have it right in front of me, so if one of the other commissioners does.
Hold on, and I don't, hold on, let me.
Okay, I'd have to pull it up. Let me pull it up.
For the approval of the joint resolution for the city and county?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, I would like to make a motion that we consider for approval the proposed joint resolution of the city and the county declaring the conference center project infeasible, naming a modified use to reduce ad valorem property taxes, and calling for an election to allow the voters to decide whether or not to approve the modified use.
Second.
Okay, it's been properly motion second to add that proposed joint resolution. Commissioners, any comments to that motion? Hearing none. Okay, we will add that at, let's see here.
3A.
We can make that 3A. That's okay. All in favor, please raise your hand, say aye.
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 Opposed have the same right. Hearing none from the opposing, it seems like, well, that motion carries. Thank you, commissioners. So as we get into our meeting tonight, our first item on our agenda is a public hearing. Excuse me, no. Our first item is a point. Well, I got it wrong. I'm sorry. Wait, hold on. Yes. First item, excuse me, is our public hearing for alcohol beverage license. And this is a new license. And we have two license to consider. So we're gonna take these one by one because I believe we have some people coming to speak on behalf of the licenses. So, Commissioners, so we will begin with item number 1. Consider approval of alcohol beverage license, Bamboo Lodge. The owner is Nitish Patel at 2717 Glen Avenue for permission to own permission consumption of beer, wine, and distilled spirits. Ms. Monday will be presenting.
Good evening. Tonight I will be presenting two. The first one is Bamboo Lounge located on Glen Avenue. This is a new ownership requesting an on-premise alcohol consumption of beer, wine, and distilled spirits. A background and fingerprint check has been completed on the new owner, Nitish Patel. There's nothing listed that would prevent him from possessing an on-premise consumption of beer, wine, and distilled spirits license. I present this one for your approval.
Okay, are there any discrepancies, anything on that location?
No, there's no history.
Okay.
What about Sunday sales?
It's not for Sunday sales for the Bamboo Lounge.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Commissioner, any other comments to Ms. Monday?
The only other question I would have is, even prior to this new ownership, have there been incidents or any issues that you're aware of?
No, I went back 2 years and there was no incidences.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, if there are no further comments or questions, Ms. Monday, is the owner here?
Yes, Mr. Patel is here.
Okay. Is something you'd like to say? Okay, all right. Okay, then, Commissioner, since this is a public hearing, I will entertain anyone who would like to come forward to speak for or against the granting of this new alcohol beverage license. So if you would, step up or raise your hand in the chat, and you will be given 2 minutes to state your comments. Please state your name and your address as you come forward. Madam Clerk, is there anyone in the chat room?
No one in the chat room, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. It appears that no one has stepped forward to speak for or against the granting of this petition for this new alcohol beverage license for Bamboo Lounge. Commissioner, what's your will and pleasure?
Mr. Mayor, I offer motion for approval of the new license for the Bamboo Lounge. It's 2717 Glen Avenue.
Second.
It's been properly motion second for the approval of the granting of this alcohol beverage license to Bamboo Lounge, 2717 Glen Avenue. Are there any further comments, questions, or issues? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Kason, how do you vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Williams, how do you vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Martin, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Harris, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mayor Harvey, how do you vote?
Yes. Okay, Commissioner, that vote, that motion carries unanimously. Thank you so much. Our next item is consider approval alcohol beverage license for Country Boy Cooking. Mr. Travis Riddle is the owner at 3300 Norwood Street for on-premise consumption of beer, wine, and with Sunday sales. Ms. Monday, you will be reporting again.
Yes, this is the second one for Country Boy Cooking, Travis Riddle. He is requesting a new on-premise consumption of beer, wine with Sunday sales. The business was advertised as requesting distilled spirits. A correction has been made to requesting beer and wine with Sunday sales. A background and fingerprint check has been completed. There's nothing that would prevent Mr. Riddle from possessing an on-premise consumption license with Sunday sales. However, Country Boy Cooking is located 157 feet from Hall Temple Church of God. And according to her ordinance, it does meet the proximity regulation, but remains approval by commission. Mr. Riddle did previously apply and was denied on July the 15th on 2020. And Mr. Riddle is here to present himself for this request.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions for Ms. Monday, commissioners?
I have one question, and
Okay.
a couple of people brought this to my attention. Isn't there another church?
I believe it is.
Daycare or something?
It is, but I'm unsure of the footage of proximity.
So you didn't check that?
I didn't check that. The only one that I had checked was for the Temple Church of God, and it's located within 157 feet from door to door. And it was unbeknownst to me about the other secondary church till recently.
Any other comments or questions? Is the owner here?
Yes.
Is there something you'd like to say, Mr. Riddle?
Can I remove my mask?
Take-
All right, good evening. I just want to go ahead and clarify the question that Commissioner Vincent just asked. There is a church that's pretty much probably about same proximity from me as the church across the street. And I do have a letter of support from that church with Pastor Dickerson here that I'd like to present to the court as well, but to the board.
You can present it later if you like, no problem.
Should I bring it up? Mayor, should we read this for everybody else to hear, or just okay for y'all?
If you want to, you go ahead.
All right, can I get somebody to come up and read it? I just rather focus out at somebody else to read it for me. If that's okay with you.
That's fine.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Mayor, Commissioner. Unity of the Bridegroom Church, 3312 North Street, Brunswick, Georgia, 31520, January 15th, 2021. Dear City Commissioners, I'm writing this letter of recommendation for Country Boy Cooking, Mr. Travis Riddle, owner, to express my full support of his operations, and I'm happy to have him as a neighbor. Since Country Boy Cooking has been in operation, I have not only seen the community come out and support, but I've also seen Mr. Riddle pour back into the community by blessing our children with various free events. Understanding what is at stake, I believe we, the community, should strive to help and support local businesses, and without any division, especially Black-owned businesses in the city of Brunswick, Georgia. I myself, a local business owner of a former childcare business and now a coach and consultant, understand what it takes to provide a service for the community and the resources required to stay in business. I ask that we help Mr. Riddle and the Country Boy Cooking organization in any way possible to ensure they continue to bring economic development, jobs, and positive place to visit on the great block of North Street within the great city of Brunswick, Georgia. Sincerely, Pastor Kamayu Dickerson. And these are just copies. That's it.
Thank you. Anything else you'd like to say, Mr. Riddle?
Yes, sir. Mayor, while she's still here, I actually had the pleasure of speaking with I had the pleasure of speaking with all my neighbors on the block. I have letters of support from everybody on my block, from the around the corner, the church that's adjusted to mine, the insurance company across the street, the two businesses across the street is here, as well as my support, that we all came together as a community and as small business that we're trying to build up a community. Also, I went a little farther down the street to the National Guard Army, because a lot of the soldiers that be fighting for our freedom come and partake with me, and they also wrote a letter as well. If she could read that for you as well, and I give you a copy of it.
This is Department of the Army, Georgia Army National Guard. And it's a memorandum for seed distribution, letter of support. This memorandum is to verify that this business listed below is currently supported by the active Georgia Army National Guard soldiers assigned by BBTRY 1-118 FAR. We are fully aware that Country Boy Cooking right down the road from the Brunswick Armory wants to sell beer and wine during dinner meal. We support small businesses such as this that provide jobs to Brunswick civilians. We will continue to support their business and their accusations of a beer and wine license in a safe place for our soldiers to continue to dine. Michael P. Bannister, SFC FA GAARNG, Readiness NCO.
And Mayor, I also like to present my neighbor across the street, Delta Life Insurance. They've been there for a while in the same community that we're trying to build up.
Mr. Riddle, with you had submitted all this to the commission, so we could have considered it before now, but I guess we,
The only thing I would ask to submit to you was the people that want to speak on my behalf. So they told me to bring that. I brought that earlier, and that was all I asked for. So I got copies of everybody.
okay, go ahead and speak, Ms.
Okay, this is from Delta Life Insurance. To whom it may concern, we are writing this letter of support for a business in this community, Country Boy Cooking. We understand that Mr. Riddle is trying to provide beer and wine in the above named restaurant, and our employees have no objections to this matter. We frequent this business for breakfast and lunch. The food is great, and Mr. Riddle is a fine, upstanding person, always helping and donating in this area and others. He provided jobs to the less fortunate and gives them a chance to be employed with a steady check. Sincerely, Teresa Powell, Office Manager.
Okay, thank you. So, Mr. Riddle,
Yes.
before we get into all of this, okay, is there anything else you would like to say before we ask for people to speak on your behalf, speak for or
I just
against
want to
this?
get all my support letters that's in. I got one from First Baptist Church, which once they find out about the situation, they come there every Tuesday, had a prayer meeting at my business. And when they found out about the situation, they wanted a letter to indicate that they in support of me with the beer and wine license as well, because they was in the same proximity of Indigo. And they have no issue out of them. They also added that it's regular for their children ministry, which they love their kids, and they don't have no concerns or issues for that matter. So if it would please y'all, I would like to make sure all the people that's not able to be here in my support, and most of them are churches that's under reading the same Bible everybody else is reading, that's standing in support of building the community. So if it's okay with you, Mayor, I'd like to present this to you for a couple of reasons, because they've been through the same thing I'm with, and they are where I'm trying to go with having a place that serves beer and wine, and they have been established and have no issue out there, nor do I present any issue as well. I just want an opportunity to feed my family and my community. So if it's okay with you, Mayor, I'd like for her to read this while I present it to you.
Okay, Mr. Riddle.
First Baptist Brunswick, January 19, 2021. To whom it may concern, Travis Riddle, CEO of Country Boy Cooking, has been gracious to host our Tuesday morning men's prayer meeting on a weekly basis. We appreciate Mr. Riddle reaching out to our group and providing for us as we meet to lift up our community in prayer concerns. Mr. Riddle has shared that it is desire to help the local community, including churches, in any way he can. Our church looks forward to working with Travis to better the downtown Brunswick area, including the North Street Business District, which the city has also expressed an interest in improving. Please accept this letter as an endorsement of the Country Boy Cooking establishment. We pray that Mr. Riddle's business will prosper along with other local businesses such as the Indigo, Shanty, Tipsy McSway, and Fox's Pizza, among others that share our desire to see the beautiful downtown Brunswick area continue to grow and improve. Thank you, Taylor Gordon, Administrator.
And I have one more letter, and I'll be finished with my letters of support. from Pastor Nick Roundtree from New Day Christian Fellowship.
Pastor Nick Roundtree, New Day Christian Fellowship.
We're not gonna read this whole letter.
Okay.
We're not gonna do that.
All right,
You,
so Mayor,
if you want to summarize it, that'd be fine, but we're not gonna read this whole letter.
thank you. He basically speaking on the character and what he see when he come into my business. He do feel like it'll be an asset to the community and not it will not be a negative effect on the community.
Okay.
As I read over the ordinance for the beer and wine license for which I'm applied for, it says at the discretion of the board that is not detrimental or harming to the community. And all these letters here is showing that people that actually fellowship with me and come patronize my business don't feel no threat to it. As well as I have over 700 signatures that I submitted earlier with addresses in the city surrounding my business that stand supporting me get my beer and wine license. I also submitted a blueprint drawing to the city, Mr. John Hunter, that I just received as I walked into the building with approval to start building with, once we get the site plans developed. This is a banquet, event hall that I'm building with money out of my pocket for the simple reason while I was in business with the restaurant, a lot of people been coming, want to do weddings, rehearsals, want to do private events, meeting space. So I felt the need for it in my community where I'm at to build my own. Some of the people that came, I wasn't able to accommodate them, so I did refer them over to the Halls Temple Church to keep that business in our area. I'm all about building up my area and growing business in our area. Without nobody trying to feel like I'm doing anything disrespectful, but I have went to Halls Temple and sat in on a couple of Sunday services. In doing so, I get in my letter, I wanted to reach out to Pastor Lewis and Miss Linda Bobbitt to find out how can we resolve this like we tried before. When I try to do that, they say they're no longer there. They're down here at the Red Theater holding a Sunday ceremony, which is well beyond the 700 feet required for me to do this here. So I went downtown to the deed office and pulled a deed on it, and the deed does show that if Greater Hall Temple is the name that's on the deed as we speak up today. I understand some litigation stuff going on, but as of right now, the court record, my neighbor on this paper is Greater Hall Church. And I asked whether they come in court today, as some commissioners had called them as well and asked them what they're gonna show. They say they're not coming. They support whatever the commission decide on. They say they'll learn me over the 6 months. They've been there for me. I've been there for them. We got love for each other, and they want to see the business grow. With building this banquet hall, hopefully be ready by June. It's gonna bring at least 15 more jobs to the area. On top of the 12 employees I already have now, and since I've been there, I've been through 30 employees. But since we have a lack of business at night, I was unable to afford to keep them. If you ask the question in this court now, how many people will prefer a glass of wine or beer with their dinner? Even though they're in church, they probably say they would. But because I do not have that luxury, I lose clientele every day. I got a picture of them sent to the board that I took at 6 p.m. Monday through Sunday on North Street. The only light on North Street after dark is my light. For me serving beer and wine in my community shouldn't affect nobody out there because there's nobody there. From 9 to 5, everybody else wrote letters in support of my business because it's where they come out. They don't on their lunch break. So I do want to ask the board whatever personal feelings they have towards me to set aside. Just like Brother William just said in his prayer, he prayed that y'all make the best decision for the community. And bringing jobs to the community, ARCO is the best decision for ARCO. I grew up in ARCO when it was dirt road, and I'm back in ARCO now. And I see the same stuff that I saw when I was there. But beer and wine is an issue in the community, but that's not our biggest issue here. And like one of the sergeants said, the Army, why would people want to drive to the county, get something to drink, and drive all the way back after drinking when they can patronize right here on the corner with you and make it home safely? So I just want to hope that y'all take that into consideration. No matter what I said, I have no disrespect for Pastor Lewis nor Ms. Linda Bobbitt. I reached out to him on many, many occasions, never got no feedback, never had time to sit down and resolve anything. I talked with Mother Hall. I go over there and kiss on her forehead every day, but I never had the pleasure or opportunity to meet Ms. Lewis, be able to kiss her on her forehead, but I probably would have. But I have no personal beef with anybody. I want to grow my business. I don't want no favors. I just want to do what's right for Brunswick, because we got enough issues. And this job, my business took over 30 people away from unemployment checks, stimulus checks, and gave them paychecks. I got a gentleman about 2 blocks here working on the food truck that got tattoos in his face, and as I hired him, I told him the only reason I'm giving him a job is
Stay on
because
track,
I don't
sir.
think nobody else would. So I want the board and the city to allow me to keep providing for my community the way I have been. So if you would like, I'd like for you to look at the signatures and the petition of people supporting me for being one.
Madam Clerk, do we have those petitions or those signatures?
Mayor, I do not. He hasn't submitted it to me.
Excuse me?
I haven't received anything from him. If he, no.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay, and Commissioners, any questions you have for Mr. Riddle before I ask for to turn this into a public hearing?
I have a question. If Mr. Riddle could please confirm that he closes each night at 9, which means there would not be any further consumption of alcohol, beer or wine. And then once he answers that question, if he could let me know what his hours on Sunday are.
Commissioner, at 9:01, I'm trying to be in my car to go home and go to sleep. Change. We have a very small staff. We have a lot of turnover, so I work a lot of hours. I'm working over 150 hours a week. So beer and wine is not going to keep me up later. It ain't no money worth my rest. So 9:01, I'm in the car going home. Sundays, my hours are the same, 7 days a week, 7 to 9. But I also spoke with the church members and the commissioner and everybody. No matter what the law said, I'm submitting that I will not serve beer and wine during church hours, nor would I put advertisement outside of my building for the beer and wine, because I understand the conflict of interest between the cross and the Heineken sign. And rather, no matter what the board say, that's the commitment I make.
Well, I guess my question would be, do you feel Sunday sales is critical? I'm just asking that question.
Ms. Martin, at this point, I just know I'm open to whatever the board will give me besides a no. But after 12:30 on Sunday, 1 o'clock on Sunday, again, I'm the only thing out there on that block, and whatever edge I can have to make money to continue doing what I'm doing for me, my family, and my community, I would like to have that edge.
All right, and then my final question is, I'm assuming that if you're granted an alcohol license for on-premises consumption of beer and wine, that would also allow you to, when you do events and you're on the road with your food truck, you can then apply for sales outside of your premises?
Commissioner, actually, I'm not that far ahead on it now. That's why I'm trying to build my own banquet hall right next door so I can bring the business to me versus chasing business. I just never took the time to look into that aspect of the ordinance. I was cool with just serving it at my restaurant and providing it for my private events next door.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. I don't have any other questions.
And just to clarify, the addition of this building will be added on to the structure that I have now.
Okay. Well, I'll just say something, Mr. Riddle. You alluded to you're using your own money. I mean, it's your own place, so of course it'll be your own money. It won't be anyone else's money other than yours
But there's
to do that.
But I have came across that there are grants for the North Street Commons as well as.
Well, you authorized to apply for them just like everybody else.
Okay.
So that's not something. You also alluded to that, said something regardless of commissioners of our personal feelings. I don't understand what you mean by that. That has nothing to do with us making a decision concerning your this alcohol beverage license. So
I will clarify that if you'd like me to.
you clarify if you want to.
I just want to make sure I don't want that to come back and bite me, but I have no problem speaking my mind and why I say that.
Speak your mind, sir.
I just want to make sure we putting religion to the side and respect the prayer that Mr. Williams said earlier and make the best decision for this community and what the business is bringing to the community. That's all I ask.
Okay, that's fine. There's nothing against you saying that. You're all entitled to your personal feelings. Anybody else have anything to say before I ask for the public hearing?
Is there a letter of support from Greater Hall Temple, from Mother Hall, Sister Sharon Hall? Is there a letter of support or any of them here to personally speak for?
I do not have a letter from the Halls family. I do have text message that I do not wish to share out of respect for them. But as they said, if they was against it, they would have been here, and I don't see them here. And actually, the church is going through a lot of legal issues I'm sure that y'all know about. That's why I went and put a tax deed, because they saying they own it, somebody else saying they own it. I don't know who my neighbor is at this point, but I just want to be a gracious neighbor to whoever end up there. So from the Hall standpoint, they supporting my business on whatever level, with or without alcohol. I haven't had that luxury to meet with a Pastor Lewis and Miss Linda Bobbitt, so I'm pretty sure I know their stance, but I try to reach out to them, and their fellowship as we speak is downtown Brunswick. Well, means the restrictions for that church to like go against what I'm doing. So I spoke to the closest neighbor that's living in that house, which is Mother Hall, and her, Shay, nor Jackie is standing here today.
Okay. Any other questions, commissioners? Okay, thank you, Mr. Riddle.
Thank you.
Appreciate it very much. Okay, it appears that we do have a number of people here who are speaking for or against the grant of this alcohol beverage license. I would caution you that if you want to come up and speak, we're not going to entertain anyone saying the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over. If you are in support, you can, you want to come up and say, I support, that'd be fine. But if you're going to keep saying the same general things that someone else have said, then I would ask for the essence of time to not do that. I know most people want to have their name read into the record, and that's fine. We can do that. So you can come up and just say, you support, and that'd be fine too. I know there was a list of names that was given to each commissioner concerning the people who will or will not speak, or who were in support of the country board, support of granting the license. And there were a number of people, a list of people who were not in support of the license as well. However, as I said before, if you want to have your name read into the record, that's fine, but we're not going to entertain someone continue saying over and over the same thing. And what I would do, if you start doing that, I will cut you off and tell you, okay, thank you, I appreciate it very much, and yes, we got your name, and we move on to the next person. Do everybody understand what I'm saying? All right, I see a lot of head nodding, okay. Also, there are people that that's online virtually, and a city clerk will acknowledge them, and they can, she can either read what they said in the chat, or either we will have our administrator to actually unmute them so they will be able to tell us what they have to say, their comments concerning this grant of this alcohol beverage license. Okay, so what we're gonna do now, in the essence of time, I want to give everybody at least some time to speak. I will entertain, so this is a public hearing, I will entertain anyone who comes speak for or against the granting of this petition. And I would like for, just to keep it even, you want to speak for, it's fine. Then someone speak against, like that. I don't want to just have people just come up constantly, the people who are for it come right behind each other, and the people who are against it come right behind each other. I think we can do it one or the other. That'd be great. What I ask for, I will ask each person to come up, and when you come up, you will state your name, your address, and then you will have 2 minutes to say what you need to say. I will ask for people to speak for the license in the beginning, starting off. Then I have someone speak against it. We'll go just like that. Commissioners, you got any comments before I go proceed? Hearing none. Okay, this is a public hearing. Again, people to speak for or against the grant of this petition. When you step up, please state your name and your address, and then you have 2 minutes to speak, and we'll move on from there. Okay, now I will entertain anyone right now who would like to speak for the granting of this petition. Please step forward, state your name, and you have 2 minutes.
I'm Waleed Brown. I live at 130 Drew Circle. I'm activities coordinator at Morningstar, and Slim has been doing some positive things for my boys. On Thursday night, he have like a real talk group, and my boys actually love it. They ask me all the time when we're going back, so we planning something. I guess we're gonna plan something soon. One of the topics was bullying. Another topic was like, I can't remember. But it was a good talk. They talk about it all the time. They ask me when they come, and they actually want to talk to him sometime. And I think we just ride by and come see him every now and then. Thank you. That's my time.
Thank you, sir. Okay, now, person to speak against the grant of this petition, please step forward. State your name, your address, and you have 2 minutes, sir.
Dr. George L. Lewis, 2215 Pinewood Drive. I am the official pastor of Greater Hall Temple Church of God in Christ, appointed by my jurisdictional bishop of the Northern Georgia 2nd Ecclesiastical Jurisdiction. And we going back over this here again, that I still oppose, okay, Mr. Riddle for serving liquor, alcohol, and alcoholic beverages, okay, in the vicinity of a church. The church is a beacon which radiates positiveness in the neighborhood and in the community. And so therefore, I still oppose that. And since July, since we had been through this situation again, he has not reached out to me. Now, the thing we had already established that I am the pastor, okay, that Miss Marie Hall and Miss Sharon Hall Green, they are not the official pastors. I am the pastor. And so therefore, I still stand against him serving, okay, that type of beverage in the community, especially around the church. Now, I know he mentioned various churches, and if you take note, they're not doing that around their church. But the bottom line is this here is that you have individuals, okay, who is dealing with alcoholism, and I don't believe that he can't control what an individual consumes as far as alcohol and alcoholic beverages. And one thing we don't need in the community and also in the neighborhood for individuals to leave that establishment under the influence of alcohol, and then here it is to get pulled over by the authorities, and then here it is to get slapped with either DUI or DWI. But you see, the thing about it is that the church radiating holiness and righteousness so that individuals can conform, so that individuals can change, so that they can be radiated and be to the point where they can be better in life. And so therefore, I still stand against and I still oppose him serving liquor, alcohol, and alcoholic beverages in the vicinity and the area of a church. Thank you, and Happy New Year.
Thank you, sir. Also, what I would do if within 20 seconds of your time, I will raise my hand so you'll know to start wrapping it up. 20 seconds. I didn't mean to say 20 minutes, 20 seconds. All right, so now I'll entertain a person to speak for granting of this alcohol license. Please state your name and your address, and you may begin.
My name is Thea Wanza Brooks. I live at 2325 Woodland Way. I'm not going to be before you long. I just want to say that I have known Travis for a long time. And since he has been back, I have seen nothing but positive energy in the community when it comes down to him working with our children and our community. He has assembled jobs for people, whether they stay or go. We can't make that decision for anyone. I understand the church's feeling on him being right next door, serving alcohol and stating about people in churches having alcoholism problems. But I'm sorry, anywhere in Brunswick, there are people with alcoholism problems, and they go to the church for healing and it doesn't always work. So we can't say what one person's problem and make that a problem for everyone. And I understand, like he said, it's right by a church, and I'm aware of that. But you also have to understand that he is a business owner and that he does have a family that he needs to provide for. And just like the church is a business, and they make money too through their congregation to survive. So either way it goes, I feel like they should be able to come to some kind of conclusion. If he's already said that he will not serve alcohol during church hours, which I think is something commendable on his behalf to even volunteer to do, and be able to come to amends as a community and make this work for everybody. So I think that he should be granted his license.
Thank you, Ms. Brooks. Okay. Now, anyone speak against granting this license? Please state your name and your address, please.
Good evening. My name is Linda Bobbitt Lewis. My address is 2215 Pinewood Drive, Brunswick, Georgia. To the mayor and to all the commissioners, I oppose Mr. Riddle getting alcohol and beverage license. We've been at that building since May of 1986. That's a long time to have an establishment and have never had to come up against anything like this. We were just in here in July. I know the commission and the mayor cannot control how many times Mr. Riddle apply for an alcohol and beverage license. I understand that. But nothing has changed. We're still a church. They're still not that far away from the church. His building is not. Not that we're trying to put a damper on his business. It's not that. But when you do your homework before you open up a business, you check everything out. He knew before he opened that business that he was moving next to a church. Like I said again, we've been there since May of 1986. Church has a steeple on it. It's not like we were trying to hide. It's not like he doesn't know that that was a church. And I still oppose, just like I did in July, of him getting alcohol and beverage license. I've been in that church for over 40 years. I oppose that, and so do so many of our other members. And Mother Hall, Shay, Jackie, they are not the pastor of Greater Hall's Temple. And we had the privilege of speaking with Mr. Reynolds, but he was so combative and so nasty. He started cursing, so that's why we ended the conversation, because we're not about that. I thank you for the privilege of your time, and I ask you to vote no for the license. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lewis. Now, entertain anyone who speak for the granting of this beverage license. Speak for the granting. Please step forward, state your name and your address, and you may begin.
My name is Allie Moline. I live at 928 Union Street. I am a local business owner. I am also a resident, as I said, and I also am a member of a church that convenes just a few blocks away from Country Boy Cooking. We've partnered at our business. We've been lucky enough to partner with Country Boy Cooking for a couple months now. Actually, as we speak, his food truck is serving our patrons. It's allowed us to serve them food on Wednesdays, which has been really great for us. Getting a food truck in this county is not an easy thing. There's a lot of hoops to jump through, and it's expensive. And he did everything, and we were very thankful for that, because we don't have a lot of those food trucks here. So I don't have anything negative to say. I just wanted to say something positive, and ask you to really, really consider your local business owners as you make these decisions. As a fellow local business owner, I can tell you that what Mr. Riddle did was not easy. It was not inexpensive. And oftentimes people don't realize that small business owners pour their life savings into these businesses. They poured into a dream. And I truly believe that Mr. Riddle is a positive force for this community, and that he had a vision of to do something positive. And I believe him when he says that he intends to run this establishment in a positive way, in a responsible way, and in a respectful way of his neighbors. I really do believe that. And with so much adversity facing businesses in this very trying time, I would really implore you commissioners to please remove barriers whenever you can to allow businesses to flourish in our community, because these are truly the people that are putting their money where their mouth is when it comes to really moving this community forward and really bettering Brunswick. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Moline. Okay. Now, I will entertain anyone to speak against the granting of this license. Please state your name and your address, please.
Good evening, Mayor. My name is Deborah Edwards. My address is 2219 Pinewood Drive, Brunswick, Georgia, 31520. I'm here this evening because I oppose the sale of alcohol beverages so close to our church. I've listened to the many things that everyone has said about the good things that he's doing with the children. And I certainly hope it doesn't mean that he's presenting alcohol to the children, since that's what everyone is saying. But the thing is that we've been here before, and we still stand firmly that we don't believe alcohol should be sold that close to the church. Cannot answer for other churches, but we can only answer for the Greater Hall Temple Church of God in Christ. We do not desire to have alcoholic beverages sold near our church. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Edwards. Okay, someone speak for the granting of this alcohol beverage? Please step forward and state your name and your address, please.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Commissioners. My name is Dana Roberts Beckham, and I reside at 2618 Starling Street. I first want to say that a couple months ago, when I first heard about this, I only was tunnel vision to hear one side of the story. And I was actually online virtually looking at that meeting, and I was totally against it because I had no idea. Later on, in the fall time of the year, I started seeing some of the positive things that Mr. Travis Riddle has been doing in the community for a lot of these children. And one of those children is my son. And I saw the support that he gave their football team, and I saw all the involvement leaving from his business, coming to the field, and I began to talk with him. And I told him, I said, look, I was one of the ones saying that you shouldn't have alcohol. But since then, after giving careful review, talking with Mrs. Jackie Hall and looking at what's been going on, I have to change and renege on that. So I'm in favor of him because I think that more African-American business, Black men should have the opportunity to have a African-American business ownership in the city limits of Brunswick. It was a time when we had so many more, and I know that it can be some type of understanding between the church and the business. I think that Mr. Riddle will be responsible. I have a cousin that works there, and I think he will be very responsible. If he's not, then I think as citizens, we will hold him responsible. But right now, I'm gonna have to renege and say I'm in favor.
Thank you, Ms. Beckham. Okay, someone to speak against the granting of this petition, please step forward, state your name and your address, please, and you may begin.
How's everybody doing? My name is Brian Edwards. My address is 118 King Cotton Road. Of course, I'm not in favor of it. All the great stuff that I'm hearing that Mr. Riddle has done or is doing, I commend him as well. I really do. As a Black male, I know how hard it is and how important it is that role is. But in everything that I've heard nothing about alcohol. Nothing about alcohol. Nothing about how him getting the license will further his business or not. The bottom line is this: by denying him the right to sell alcohol, which now something new that I heard today, which is he's willing to do it on a Sunday right across the street from a church, that will not impact his current business. He's been doing so much great things without it, so he doesn't need it. The other thing is this: I look at Willie's Hot Dog Shack or whatever it's called. They don't serve alcohol, and they are important and an important fiber to this community. His business can be that same way. I witnessed him at Brunswick High School with his food truck. He does an amazing job, but that's not across the street from a church. He's not selling alcohol. So I vehemently oppose this, and I say that he can continue to do great things as I'm doing great things, as all of us should be doing great things. But serving alcohol, that, again, I mean, right next to a church, I just don't believe morally that that's not correct. And that's what we're trying to change to make the city great, starting with our morals. So we have to put action behind the words that we speak. Thank you all for letting me speak.
Thank you, Mr. Edwards. Okay, someone step up and speak for the granting of this license.
Good evening, Commission. How's everyone doing? Those that aren't present, everyone in attendance. My name is Karen Polite.
Address.
My address is 2518 Amherst Street. I am a resident of Brunswick, Lynn County. I'm a business owner. I'm a mother, a grandmother, a Christian, and I am in support of Travis. I'm in support of Travis for many reasons, not just because he supports the children, not just because I represent him during some of his business transactions, but because as a business owner, as many have stated, it's hard. It's very hard. We have lost so many businesses in the city. We see a lot of businesses come into the city. They ask for tax abatements, they ask for credits, they ask for application waivers. And I personally know that this young man has not asked for any of those. And not that that should be the decision maker or not. What should be the decision maker is what's in the best interest of the entire community. I love and respect Greater Hall Temple. As a child, I went to Greater Hall Temple for Vacation Bible School. We even went to Disney World once. Mama Edwards is family to me. And so to be on opposing sides is it's moving for me. It's heartbreaking because I would like to get back to seeing our community be a bridge over troubled waters as opposed to building walls. In our society, we see what walls can do. They can destroy and divide our communities. That is not what we need. We need people that will stand for what they believe, regardless of what side they're on, but can figure out how to come together to move our community and our city to forward. We need businesses that are going to bring income. Yes, sir. That's going to bring income into our city. Thank you for our nonprofits, but this business is a business that is a profit-making business, and to stay in business, you have to add to your business and assess your business however you deem necessary, not what one other person may think is best for your business.
Time is up, Ms. Polite.
Thank you, sir. Thank you,
Okay.
Commissioner and Mayor.
Okay. Anyone to step forward and speak against granting of this alcohol beverage license, please step forward and also state your name and your address, please.
My name is Bill Smith. I live at 174 Fox Run Drive in the county. I'd like a clarification. Is this license for hard distilled liquor and beer and wine?
It's just for beer and wine, sir.
Okay, well, the comment says distilled liquor.
I know that's
I couldn't hear back there.
Okay. I'm sorry. It's just for beer and wine only.
Okay, well, good.
And also selling on Sunday sales.
That's good. Okay. Yeah, I've known Mr. Riddle for half a year. It doesn't really matter, but I've grown to like him a lot. He's a hard worker. He's interested in this community. He's interested in helping the youth. And it doesn't matter to me unless he's selling something illegal, which is not. You can go to any convenience store on Saturday night and buy all you want. And the only thing that he will not get involved with is anything illegal. And he will watch his store. He's there all the time. And he's put his buildings back on the tax rolls. He pays a payroll that includes taxes. It's all going back to the city. And so we need more small businesses like his. He's trying to build the American dream. And we need to help him as much as we can. But I would vote for it. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your comment. Okay, seeing that Mr. Smith was speaking for the granting of the petition, I think he didn't understand what I meant. So is anyone here to speak against the granting of this alcohol beverage license? Please step forward. State your name and your address, please.
Good evening. My name is David Wood. I live at 2803 Cottage Park Drive, Brunswick. Well, I've listened at everything was said about him, how good he is in the community, how good he is with kids. But if he's that good with kids and what he's doing in the community, he should be setting a good example for those kids by not having alcoholic beverages in his establishment. By not having beer and wine, they're showing the young people that we don't need alcoholic beverages in order to make things work out for you, because there's too many kids that get strung out on alcohol, and being around the church is just not feasible. And I object and I oppose.
Thank you, Mr. Wood. Appreciate it. Okay. Madam Clerk, will you we'll check the chat and see who's there so we can start getting some comment from there?
Okay, Mayor. Okay, I have a comment for William Kitts, and he states, in his opinion, this sets a precedent over the community. Our family business is often working on Sundays, and we believe this is a deterrent to the community. From Mr. Kitts, and that's the only chat we have thus far.
Madam Clerk, we couldn't quite understand you. You have your...
Is he for or against?
He's against.
Okay, what's the name again, please?
William Kitts.
William Kitts, okay. Okay.
That was the only chat, Mayor.
Excuse me?
That was the only person that made a comment in chat.
Okay, thank you, thank you. We'll move right along. Okay, now anyone who speak for the granting of this beverage license, please step forward, state your name, and you have 2 minutes. Name and address,
Mr.
please.
Mayor, Commissioners, Al Verheyen, 924 Union Street. On a good day, in a good economy, opening up a business is tough. But even in a good economy, opening up a restaurant is tougher. So to open a restaurant and then have COVID hit you is almost impossible. Location matters too. Good location, even in a down economy, maybe you survive. Opening a business, taking all the risks that he has by opening it when he did and where he did on Norwich Street is a major risk for him personally. And I think that we should give some deference and some recognition for his efforts to do that, to take that huge risk. We want to bring back Norwich Street. This is an opportunity for us to have a thriving business that isn't a car repair shop or a liquor store on Norwich Street. The man says he needs that selling alcohol, beer and wine will help his business, especially at night. His restaurant is open 14 hours a day, 7 days a week. But I don't think the church is open 14 hours a day, 7 days a week. So the man's there all the time. He's there in the community. He's trying to make something work for the community and for Norwich Street to help bring it back. So I ask that you consider and approve his license for 7-day sales. And if there are conditions that need to be met, he's more than willing to make those conditions. If you set the conditions for a certain time period on Sundays or whenever the church is in, fantastic. But I just urge you to approve this alcohol beverage sales license. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Verheyen. Now, anyone step forward, speak against us granting this alcohol beverage license? Please step forward, state your name and your address.
Good evening. My name is Veronica King at 2619 Martin Luther King. I've heard all the good things they're saying about Mr. Travis. My concern is if the food is good, why do you need alcohol? You can look at me until I eat. If the food is good, why do you need alcohol? I oppose. Thank you.
Excuse me a minute. What did you say your name? Well, I didn't get your name.
Veronica King, K-I-N-G.
Thank you. Thank you again, Ms. King, for your comments. Okay, now, anyone speak for the granting of this beverage license, please step forward, state your name and your address, please.
How y'all doing? My name is Kenyatta Dale, and I speak for this decision for him to serve beer and alcohol. I don't even drink, but Mr. Riddle, he's done great things in our community for the kids and everybody else. He cooks his food to order. So a lot of people, while they're waiting on their food, why wouldn't you want to have a cold beverage to drink? Because by the time you get your food and sit down and eat, it's gonna be done knock the alcohol out anyway. So when you get in your car to leave and go home, you ain't gonna know you had a drink. People wrestle with many demons on a daily basis. So if it's that serious about a drink, it's a liquor store right here on North Street. They sell liquor and alcohol at the gas station right there. So why would it be an issue with him serving alcohol at his restaurant? Oh, and I apologize. My name is Kenyatta Dale. I live at 1610 Niles Avenue, Brunswick, Georgia. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dale. I appreciate your comment. Is anyone else here to speak against the granting of this petition? Excuse me, granting of this alcohol beverage license? Please step forward, state your name and your address, please.
My name is Jerry Turner, 123 Mercator Court, and I'm against it. But what I don't understand that we're not trying to shut him down at the Greater Hall Temple, but why not serve barbecue chicken with a cocoa or with a sweet tea, Mountain Dew? Amen. So that's my comments right there. Why not serve it? And when you ride around in your truck, do you serve alcohol in your truck? Why do you ride around in the community? How you go there, I could drop by and say, well, I want a barbecue chicken sandwich with a cocoa or sweet tea. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Turner, for your comments. Is anyone else still here to speak for the granting of this alcohol beverage license? Please step forward, state your name and your address, please.
My name is Carla Aubrey. My address is 1921 Wood Street. And I feel that you all should grant Travis his liquor license. I hear a lot about it's being near the church. I'm not a drinker. But when you sit in restaurants, people like to talk and chat, and they do drink, and sometimes on game days. But why deny him the opportunity to have his liquor license? Why? When there's other places that have liquor license in restaurants, and you don't see a bad turnout. Just because it's by a church, and I go to church too, and no offense to the church people. But the thing is, you know, you have people in the churches that drinks. So what is the problem? What is the problem? I ask you all to grant him his license. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Aubrey. Aubrey, I'm sorry, I apologize. Aubrey, thank you. Okay, is anyone else still here to speak against the granting of this alcohol beverage license? Please step forward and state your name and your address. Okay, anyone else here to speak for or against the granting of this beverage license? Please step forward, and we can move right along. Anyone else like to speak? Please state your name and your address, please.
Okay, my name is Eunice Morales. My address is 3227 Norwich Street. I am owner in Fruitland and more. I am across from his Travis business, and I am support him for his liquor, beer and wine license.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you, Ms. Morales. Appreciate your comments. Anyone else speak for or against the granting of this beverage license? Please state your name and your address.
Yes, sir. My name is Rebecca Turner. I stay at 123 McIntyre Court.
Rebecca Turner?
Turner.
Turner, yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So while you wait for your good meal, why do you need to drink? Why don't you just get your soda, some water? That's good enough. We don't need to be around the church. You don't see businesses around other churches. So why should our church have to be the one that's serving beverages across the street from our church? I oppose. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Turner. Anyone else before we close out this public hearing? Please state your name at the counter, sir.
My name is Bishop James H. Brooks, 915 Albany Street.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Mayor and Commissioners, I'm here to stand for Mr. Rivers
Okay.
and granting him this license. I hear a lot of stuff said about it. I've been preaching for 48 years. One thing the Bible declares is let the wheat and the tare grow together. And the day of harvest, he will do the separation. So by that saying that, we as ministers and men and women of God, we need to embrace each other instead of trying to bring each other down. I've been supporting the Hall's Temple all my life, way before the Barbies and everybody else got there. When he was in the pillar ground in truth, okay? Dr. Hall was a outstanding young person. I have spoke to Shay and I spoke to Miss Hall, and to me, the conversation I had with them, they if you grant it, it's all right. If you don't grant it, it's all right. But I believe to build this community, a dying community, the Bible teaches us to repair the broken breaches. If we continue to let things go because the church standing in the way, the church should be doing their job in many other ways in building this community instead of tearing people down. Everywhere you go, church folks go there and they sit down and drink. Yeah, when I leave here, I'm going home and get me a drink. Well, I do, because there ain't nowhere, Mr. Mayor, in the scripture telling us that it's a sin to drink. Have a good day.
Thank you, Bishop Brooks, for your comments. Are there anyone else who'd like to speak for or against the granting of this alcohol beverage license? If it is, please step forward, state your name and your address, and you have 2 minutes.
Hi, my name is Melody Edgerton. I stay at 1803 Wilson Avenue. Now, they seem like they making the liquor more important than the food. So can they cook? And I oppose them having a license.
Thank you, Ms. Edgerton. Appreciate your comments. Floor is still open for anyone to speak for or against the granting of this alcohol beverage license. Madam Clerk, are there anyone else in the chat?
No one else is in chat, Mayor.
Okay. Okay, we've heard quite a bit from our residents who are in our community concerning the granting of this alcohol beverage license and or the granting or denial of this alcohol beverage license. If there's no further, anyone else speaking for or against it, I will close this public hearing out. And commissioners, we will discuss as to what we want to do. And what I will ask before we decide to vote, that if you would like to give a comment as you vote, that's fine. If not, that's fine too. So before we get to the voting part, are there any other things you would like to try to clear up before we ask for the vote?
Mr. Mayor, I have a concern, and Mr. Riddle said he had several signatures / whatever, as well as some additional letters. I would make a motion, if that's in order, to defer this item till because I haven't had a chance to look at this stuff, and I haven't had a chance to authenticate it. I spoke with Pastor Dickerson, and what he told me is controversial to what this letter reads. So I would like to be able to make sure that I'm hearing what I'm hearing, and I'm hearing it right. You know, I heard several people say they talked with Pastor Miss Hall and her daughters and so forth. The conversation that I had with them was totally different. So at this particular point in time, I would like to make a motion to defer until our next meeting to give us an opportunity to go through the names of the petitioners and all those things and the letters as well.
I'll second the motion.
Wow, that was kind of quick motion. Came back kind of quick before we got a chance to discuss, but it's been properly motion second for deferral of this item to our next meeting. Commissioners, your comments, please.
The only question I have is, will we go through the same lengthy public hearing again?
I don't think we will do that.
Okay.
Any further comments, commissioners? Again, you can comment if you want to as you vote, or we can, well, it's up to you. Okay, properly motion second for to defer this to our next meeting. Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Kaysen,
Yes.
Commissioner Williams,
Yes.
Commissioner Martin,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Harris,
Yes.
Mayor Harvey.
No. It seems that motion carries unanimously. I mean, carries, 4-1, I'm sorry. So we will defer this item until our next meeting, which would give us time to digest what's been presented to us by Mr. Riddle, and also for any other additional information that comes in. Please get your information into us way ahead of time so we can have an opportunity to go through it, and we can make a better informed decision. I think that the community will be served as we go through all the items that have been presented by Mr. Riddle. Mr. Riddle has presented himself in a very fashionable way, as into taking the time to go out to the community and get the support of some of his people in the community. However, we, the citizens, the commission, will make that decision based upon our ordinances and our rules that we have been established to govern this community. Are there any other comments, commissioners, before I dismiss this item?
I agree with you, Mayor, that any information that needs to be considered for our next meeting should have a date that it needs to be submitted to the city clerk by. And we want to be fair with it, but I think that we've heard an awful lot tonight. pros and cons. They're just about equal. And we've already heard this before, so I don't think that we need to wait to get more information, what we've got. But if there's more to come that would support yay or nay, I think we should set a deadline for it.
I agree, Mr. Casey.
Can we please let all those who are in attendance know what that deadline is to submit whatever information is going to be submitted?
I think the city clerk needs to have some input there because you need to know what the agendas are going to be.
Madam Clerk can give us that date.
Yeah.
Yes, we would need the information on or before January 26th at noon.
And that would be delivered to,
It could be emailed to myself or delivered to the city clerk's office.
okay, thank you.
And that was
January the 26th.
additional information. We have the information that's been presented tonight. Any other additional information? Mr. Riddle, you understand that? Okay, good. You understand that, Dr. Lewis? You understand what I'm saying, Dr. Lewis? Okay, all right, good.
Make sure they have the deadline, January 26th by noon.
January 26th by noon. Any additional information?
Additional information.
Right. Okay. All right.
Mr. Mayor, I would also ask our city attorney to also look into this matter and see if there's any precedents that's been set in our community for something of this nature, so that we, when we'll be making a decision with all the knowledge and all that we need.
So
Okay, I will.
Are you saying if there's any question about it not being the required distance or whatever it might be based on our ordinances?
Correct.
Okay.
There's something that, if there's some loophole in the ordinance, or if there's something that can come back to bite us, we need to know. Either way.
Okay, is all hearts and minds clear on this item? Okay, this item will be deferred to our next meeting. That motion carries 4-1. At our next meeting, we will consider making a decision concerning the granting of this alcohol beverage license. Thank you so very much. All right, I'll give you a minute to clear the room if you like to leave. If not, if you'd like to stay, please do. Okay, it seems that most of the audience has gone from now, so we'll move right along with our appointments. Item number 2, board appointments. Board and commission to appoint one appointment to the Pilots Commission. It appears that I'll let Commissioner Williams read that what we have there.
Appointment for Pilot Commission to fill the expired term of Mr. Tommy Harrington. We have one name submitted, Mr. Mayor, that's Mr. William B. Dawson for the Pilot Commission.
I'll make a motion to approve William Dawson.
Second.
Okay, well, motion second. Are there any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Raise your hand.
Aye.
Opposed have the same right. Hearing none from the opposing side, that motion carries. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Please notify Mr. Dawson, please. Okay, next appointment is our Audit Committee. Commissioner Williams, please read that again. Read that.
For appointment to the Audit Committee to fill the expired term of Anyetta Bryson Kitts. There's one name submitted for consideration. That's Ms. Banyetta Bryson Kitts.
Okay, it seems that,
Motion to approve.
Second.
okay. I got a motion.
Second.
We got a second. All in favor of reappointing Ms. Kitts to the audit committee, please raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Opposed have the same right. It appears that Ms. Kitts has been appointed. Madam Clerk, please let Ms. Kitts know of her appointment. Our tree board, we have one appointment. Commissioner Williams.
Appointment for the tree board to fill the expired term of Ms. Audrey Gibbons. We have one name submitted, Ms. Audrey Gibbons, for another term.
Make a motion, we accept the the candidate as proposed.
Second.
Motion second for the reappointment of Ms. Gibbons to the tree board. All in favor, please raise your right hand and say aye.
Aye.
Opposed have the same right. All right. Madam Clerk, please notify Ms. Gibbons of her reappointment. Okay, the Urban Redevelopment Authority, we have three appointments. This is my appointment, the mayor's appointment. I have submitted names to you all before. I've submitted Ms. Sandy Dean, Mr. Michael Butcher wants to be reappointed, and also Mr. Michael Patterson is petitioned. I've had interview with all three of these individuals, and I also have submitted their resumes to Mr. Al Verheim, the chairman of the Urban Redevelopment Agency.
Motion to approve all three.
Second.
Got a motion, got a second. Before I ask for the vote, Mr. Verheim, you're here. Do you have anything to say?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Real quick, I absolutely support these appointments and look forward to their contributions to the URA. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Verheim. All in favor, please raise your right hand, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed have the same sign, same right? It appears the ayes have it. Madam Clerk, please notify Mr. Verheim, well, he's here, notify the individuals also their reappointment and also appointment to this very important board. Thank you so much. All right, moving right along. Item number 3. Oh, did I miss 3A? Item 3. Item to consider for approval. Consider approval of January 6, 2021 regular scheduled meeting minutes.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Probably motion second for the approval of the January 6, 2021 regular scheduled meeting minutes. All in favor, please say aye. Raise your right hand. Aye. Opposed have the same right. Hearing nothing from the opposing side, that motion carries. Thank you. Item number 3A. And that is the joint resolution. I would like for our city attorney to present, if he would.
I will. What is being brought before you tonight is a joint resolution between the city of Brunswick and Glenn County declaring the Oglethorpe Conference Center SPLOST 4 and 5 project infeasible. In doing so, the resolution sets forth the reasoning, it sets forth quite a bit of information. It sets forth a history beginning in 2001 of the actions taken both from SPLOST 4 and SPLOST 5. The amounts that were set forth in each SPLOST 4 being $2 million, SPLOST 5, which the county held the $2 million, SPLOST 5, the $1.5 million. It sets forth the actions taken in 2005 and 2006 to demolish the old building on the property. and subsequently the reasons that there was little activity on the project up until roughly 2016, when the city and the city's urban redevelopment agency took control and diligently pursued the completion of the project. I would say that there was almost every avenue was attempted by the city, but ultimately the project has come to a conclusion, and I believe that it's an appropriate measure that if the city were to look at it and deem it infeasible for a number of reasons. Originally, SPLOST law required rather strict scrutiny in determining the infeasibility of a project. The law was amended in 2012 to address a new standard. And in doing so, the SPLOST law lists that a local governing authority can declare a project infeasible when that project has become impracticable, unserviceable, unrealistic, or otherwise not in the interests of the citizens of the county and or city. If you take a look at the resolution as drafted, it sets forth the financial issues that the city ran into, and the URA for that matter, in trying to bring this project to fruition. It sets forth the issues related to the significant delay from the initial vote on these SPLOST ballots for 4 and 5, including in 2008, the Great Recession, financial downturn, but also up until essentially early last year with the COVID-19 pandemic coming into play. Of course, that pandemic set forth, nationwide lockdowns, significant restrictions and prohibitions on large group gatherings. To date, even though I think there's good hope that the vaccine will be distributed rather quickly, I don't know if we see, large group gatherings being allowed in any time soon. Based on all of that as a whole, taking that in considering every factor in looking at this, the fact that it is now 20 years later from the original SPLOST vote, the fact that the money set aside at the time, the original votes were taken in 2001 and 2005, in comparison to the diligent efforts by the URA to bring this project forward. When you look at those financial shortcomings and the financial burden that it might place on the city, coupled with, of course, the recession and the falling out of the plans that had been put in place prior to the recession, and then ultimately concluding with the idea that the project, if built, would likely not be generating any revenue at the moment. With all of those factors taken into consideration, I think that the city could look and determine, based on the 2012 code, that this project is not in the best interest of the city of Brunswick. That is what this resolution is doing, because of course it is a joint SPLOST project. It will need to be a joint resolution of the city and the county. The resolution you have before you, and I'd be happy I can share my screen. Give me one moment. As written, it takes into account both the city and the county. It takes into account that in making this determination, not only would both boards be declaring this project infeasible, but it would also ask that the county now bring this matter to a vote in setting forth a modified use. I think this is something that was discussed a couple weeks ago. There are 2 allowed modified uses by the law. One is the paying off of general obligation debt. The other is the reduction or used for a purpose to reduce ad valorem property taxes. As written, because there's no general obligation debt, the modified use selected by the resolution would be for the purposes in reducing ad valorem property taxes. Again, and moving down to the actual resolution or the resolved actions taken, the city and the Board of Commissioners and the Glenn County would have to hereby find and determine that the circumstances, conditions support the infeasibility declaration. That the Board of Commissioners in Glenn County, subject to a vote by the voters, qualified voters of Glenn County, would be eligible to expend the remaining SPLOST proceeds, which is approximately 2.5, I'll say $2,504,492. The way that the law would read, those would be deposited in the respective general funds of the city and the county by law for the use of for the purposes of the modified use, which is reducing ad valorem taxes. Further, estimated SPLOST project proceeds remaining, approximate remaining would be 1.3 held by the county from SPLOST 4, 1.2 held by the city from SPLOST 5. Those would be, in essence, likely to be the way that the remaining proceeds would be split. That we would, by law, we're required to deliver a copy of this resolution to the Board of Elections of Glenn County and call for the referendum of whether or not that these funds be allowed to be used for the modified use on the March 16th, 2021 election. That is the election that is going to call for the new imposition of the SPLOST 2021. That is a requirement by law. And the reason that I'm bringing this before you tonight is because of the timing of that. This resolution will need to be, or it would need to be advertised 4 times. You'll see later in the resolution, those dates are listed. On number 6, you'll see the ballot question. This was the actual language that would be placed in front of the voters of Glenn County. Shall the capital outlay project consisting of the Oglethorpe Conference Center approve for use of proceeds of the special 1% sales and use tax imposed in the special district of Glenn County and a referendum on September 18th, 2001, that is SPLOST 4, and November 8th, 2005, SPLOST 5, be modified so as to authorize use of such proceeds for the purpose of reducing ad valorem taxes of Glenn County and the city of Brunswick. If more than half vote yes, that is what will happen. The remaining proceeds will be used as directed in the modified use of reducing ad valorem taxes. I know that in paragraph number 10, I'm not trying to skip over things, but I am trying to be cognizant of the time. Paragraph 10, if more than 1/2, so if this is approved by the voters of the county, the city and the county will likely need to go back to the amended MOU that is governing the construction of the Oglethorpe Conference Center and amend so that we can put and formalize the steps that would be necessary to allow the funds to be used for the modified use. I'm skipping down a little bit, the signature pages. If you look at Exhibit A, this is the notice of the special election on March 16th, 2021. The language is significantly similar to the actual call for the SPLOST 2021, except for that it includes the ballot language of asking the citizens of the county whether or not they would be willing to repurpose to the remaining SPLOST proceeds to the modified use of reducing ad valorem taxes. This would be published February 16th, 2021, February 23rd, 2021, March 2nd, 2021, and March 9th, 2021. Those are the 4 dates preceding the March 16th, 2021 election, and those are required by law. The remaining pages are the certificates from our clerk and the county clerk to be executed. And then finally, the order by the chairman of or chairperson of the Glenn County Board of Elections and Registration calling for the ballot language to be placed on the March 16th, 2021 ballot. Okay, I've talked. I would entertain any questions or comments, and I'd be happy to do my best to answer.
Questions for our city attorney?
Yeah, I have a couple. Mr. Corey, the general obligation debt, that option, does that apply only and directly to the project. In other words, if we had some debt that had been incurred specifically in trying to bring that project to fruition, is that what is pulled into question, or is it just all general obligation debt within the purview of the city?
It would be other general obligation debt. To incur general obligation debt for a SPLOST project, it needs to be placed on the ballot when the project is approved. That was not done with regard to the conference center. So it's not something that we would utilize for project specific.
Okay, so it's really not, it's not an option.
No, it is not.
Okay.
If in the event that a SPLOST project was approved with the understanding that general obligation debt would be a part of the financing of the project, then we declared it infeasible. Yes, you could use it to pay down project specific general obligation debt, but it has to be done on the front end. And luckily, at the moment, we do not have debt related to this project.
Okay, and my other question is, are there any other obligations connected to the infeasibility of this project that the city will have to bear?
In what terms, I guess? I mean,
Anything directly connected to the county? Any specific contractual obligations that the city has?
yes, I mean, and I would think that when we go to amend the MOU, if all of this comes to fruition, if the voters approve everything, and we go to amend the MOU regarding the Oglethorpe block property, there is going to be a contractual obligation remaining that, because it has now been deemed infeasible, and that ultimately the reality will be that the conference center will not be built on the property that the county conveyed to the city in 2016, that would trigger, or it would trigger at least a discussion of how that transaction will be handled. Because at the time it was done in 2016, the county's consideration for giving the city the property is that conference center would be built on top of it. Now the MOU contains language that would require, if that is not something that happens, which that would be the outcome here, then the city would pay fair market value of the property to the county, and in return, the city would, obviously retain ownership of the property, and then legal consideration would have been provided to Glenn County. So yes, there is a remaining obligation.
And it sounds as though if that obligation is fulfilled on the part of the city, then we have no further ties with the county or the taxpayers to redevelop that full assembled property.
Well, the city would, that's correct, and the city would own it outright at that point. Right. So in essence, it would free the property up for the purpose of the city to redevelop however it sees fit. Whether that still be through the Urban Redevelopment Agency, since they are the city's redevelopment agency, or otherwise, it frees the property up, and it does not, the city would not have any further obligation to a specific type of development on the property.
Okay, and this may be another day and another question. However, with the URA in mind, and given the fact that the City Commission tasks the URA with specific projects, they're project-based, would they continue forward with the redevelopment of the Oglethorpe block?
I think it's something that we definitely need. I looked at that today because the urban redevelopment plan contemplates the Oglethorpe block. I think it more contemplates it in a grander scale as thinking or looking at it, that it would have been a multi. It wasn't just the conference center. It was more of a grand scale, what could be done with that property. So it's definitely something, because the urban redevelopment plan contemplates the conference center in general. It's probably something that would be good to go back and look at their plan. But overall, I mean, they still can take into consideration that property and how it might be best developed.
But it might be in the commission's best interest to further specify what that
Yep.
redevelopment. Okay.
I think
All right,
it would be a
thank you.
good idea to revisit their plan because it does address the conference center, and it's a, you know, often it's a component that's discussed on multiple occasions, I believe.
Okay, thank you.
Well, I think we did authorize the URA to develop that overthought block. I don't think we said conference center at all in that, and we was desiring of a conference center, but the block. So that may give them. I think that gives them the leeway to present to us what the development will look like before moving ahead. Anyhow, I think that's what we always envision with them coming to us and tell this is what we like to. What you all to consider for development on that block. Also, Mr. City Attorney, as we move forward and acquiring that property, you're right, it's free and clear for us to develop that block as the city see fit for what we deem necessary to for development of that block, I'll say. Am I right?
It partially, I think that, you know, it's just you be mindful that the URA would have, you know, they have redevelopment powers more so than the city. So they have, you know, less bureaucratic red tape that they'd have to jump through if they were going to seek out a private developer to come and take over that property. But with that being said, because their plan contemplates their Oglethorpe Conference Center, it's certainly something that the city we all should look at, even including the URA, looking at the plan and maybe making a determination as to how to move forward in the best manner.
But I think we have a good relationship with our URA board, and I think they will be coming to us with plans for that since once we get this from being encumbered. So. Any other questions for our city attorney?
I can't tell. Is the chairman of the URA still in?
Yes, he is.
I can't. Oh, okay, great. Well, then he's here for the discussion right now too, which is probably a good thing.
The only other comment I would make is that the URA certainly keep in mind any obligations on a financial side that concern the city with a project, that it be, truly feasible in the scheme.
Mr. Verheim, you'd like to speak?
Yes, I'd just like to second what you said, Mr. Mayor, is that whatever the URA decides is our plan for that property, we would come back to the city commission and seek your advice and consent to move forward.
Thank you, sir. Any other comments for our city attorney before we ask for a motion on this item? I'd like to say the county will be considering the same thing in their meeting as well. We passed, I think, a resolution last meeting about moving forward with a SPLOS, a 3-year SPLOS, and I believe that as we move forward, this is some of the things we need to clear up, especially with the Oglethorpe block, the conference center, and then allow the voters to vote for a 3-year SPLOS, and also vote on the infeasibility of us trying to erect the conference center. It's been a 20-year long trek for that, with good intentions. They say the road of what's called paved with good intentions. However, we are where we are. Commissioners, there are no other further comments. I will entertain a motion, please.
Mayor, I'd just like to ask Brian if he was going to make that little clarification that I asked him about.
Yes, absolutely. I believe it was paragraph 8. Of course, I don't know why I closed the resolution, so I apologize. There is a mention to paragraph the city manager and I discussed earlier. If you look at paragraph 8, and I'd be happy to share again if that helps, it probably will. Paragraph 8 makes mention, the Board of Elections shall, this last sentence, the Board of Elections shall canvass the returns, declare the results of the election, and certify the result to the Secretary of State and to the Commissioner. That is language we pulled directly from the election law. The commissioner that is being referenced there is the Georgia Commissioner of Revenue, because it's everything we're being done here, even though it brings in components of the Georgia election law, is under revenue and taxation, the section of the Georgia State Code, revenue and taxation. So it would be notice to both the Secretary of State and the Georgia Revenue Commissioner.
Thank you. And thank you for that clarification, Madam City Manager.
Paid for by the county.
Okay, there's no further comments or questions, Commissioners. I entertain a motion, please.
I'll
have the motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the joint resolution between the city and the county regarding the infeasibility of the Oglethorpe Conference Center as presented.
Second.
Okay, been properly in motion second to consider approval for the proposed joint resolution of the city and county declaring the conference center project infeasible, naming a modified use to reduce ad valorem property taxes, and calling for an election to allow the voters to decide whether or not to approve the modified use. Are there any further comments or questions concerning that motion?
Yeah, I've got one question, and Brian, it is to you. The city does not have to pay anything for the special meeting to approve the SPLOST. The county bears all the cost.
Special election?
Yes.
Yes, that is correct.
I thought.
And actually, it is also included in the resolution. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, any further comments, Commissioners?
No, the only comment I have is whether or not it's confusing to voters using the term modified use. I mean, it's the use of the funds, the SPLOST funds, but not a modified use of the property or the project.
Yeah, that was actually Commissioner Kaysen posed a similar question to me earlier today after I'm assuming he reviewed the.
I would say the modified is skewed here.
And I'll answer it the same way I answered when I was discussing it with him, that modified use is the language that we're provided by the law. So when you're looking to make sure that we're following through with what the law would provide in a situation of infeasibility, that is sort of what they've provided. It's an interesting situation when you declare a SPLOST project infeasible. The declaration comes from the governing authority. So they are the ones saying, we believe this project to be infeasible. However, we understand we are holding special tax collected from the taxpayers, whether in or outside of the county. So now the question of how to use those proceeds, since we've said the project's infeasible, we can't just use it however we want. The question of how to use those proceeds must go to the voters, and the voters are the ones that would elect the modified use. But I could see where it might need some clarification.
Yeah, and I think as long as we're very clear on the fact that the modified use renders the reduction in ad valorem tax or the rollback or however that is termed. So it's less.
It would be for the purposes, yeah. And I hope that's not lost, but that yes, it would be naming for the purposes of reducing ad valorem property taxes.
Thank you.
Okay. Any further comments? All right. All in favor of the approval of the joint resolution, please raise your hand and say aye.
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 I hear you vote for Mayor Pro Tem. All opposed say that same right?
I voted. I was the first aye.
Oh, you did? Sorry. I didn't hear you. Okay. That motion carries unanimously. So we can move on, and hopefully this community can move forward with new proposals to do things for the Overthought block and continue to make this this city even better than what it is, with new ideas and new direction as we move forward with building a better city, a better Brunswick. Okay, item number 4, city attorney item as well. Consider adoption of ordinance number 1070, amendment to City of Brunswick Clean Community Ordinance. Mr. Brian Corey, our city attorney, is presented again.
What you have before you tonight is a rather simple ordinance amendment. In order for us to seek out our stormwater management permit from the EPD, as you guys recall, we did an ordinance amendment to the stormwater management code. We were working with Rob Brown as our engineer. He also assisted the county is doing something similar. All this amendment is doing is adding the new section 25-13.4, which was control of litter and debris on construction sites. I know there was a discussion, and I briefly discussed things with Garrow, but I know what we're doing to this specific ordinance is just adding this language so that we make sure that we're in compliance with obtaining our permit. I think that the discussion and the concerns from the commission at the last meeting, those concerns are covered either in other sections of our clean community ordinance or in other areas of our current code of ordinances, and how they interact with getting your building permit, construction sites, and the requirements that would be put in place if you're seeking to do new construction in the city. So for tonight's amendment, or it's only addressing the clean community litter and debris on a construction site, not kind of the grander thought of land disturbing permits and silt guards and that type of runoff. And it has been properly advertised, and I don't want to speak for Naomi, but I don't believe we've received any comments. So it's here for you tonight for final approval.
Okay, comments or questions to our city attorney? Well, I got a few comments, and one is I realize this seems to be a change to our ordinance, but it's not really that much of a change because we have been concerned about debris going down our stormwater drains for quite a long time. It's been brought to our attention in previous administrations concerning this, and what it seemed as if is that we have an ordinance, but we have no teeth in it, or we don't follow up to enforce it. So I believe what's really happening is our enforcement of our ordinance and enforcement of this ordinance or this section here that we are putting in again, or putting I think strengthening. So we need to ensure that this ordinance is enforced. And I asked our city manager to talk with our codes and planning director to have our code enforcement enforce it, put some teeth into this ordinance, because here we are trying to put as much funds that we can to clean up our storm water, and this seems to be, it will be working against us if we don't do anything to put some teeth in this, to enforce people, to keep people from just letting stuff go down our drains as such, and clogging up the drains and so forth like that. So, and it has been brought to our attention many times, and I remember in the past, and we have gone out and told people they don't need to do that, but we have cited no one concerning this. So I asked Ms. City Manager to task our code enforcement to put some teeth into this ordinance, because we're trying to have a clean city. We're trying to make it better. And I don't want to think that we have to spend money trying to clean up something where we can prevent something. So that's my 2 cents right now. Any other comments?
Yeah, I would say this, and piggybacking on what you said, an ordinance without enforcement and follow-up is a washout.
Yes. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Any other comments?
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance number 1070.
Second.
It's been properly motion and second for approval of ordinance number 1070. It has already been advertised, and the community had an opportunity to voice their opinion. Are there any further comments? Hearing none, all in favor, please raise your right hand and say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, have the same right. Hearing nothing from the opposing side, that motion carries unanimously. Thank you so much, commissioners. Okay, we'll come to the end of our regular printed agenda. Are there any need for executive session?
No.
What?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Then probably motion second for the adjourn. I want to tell you, thank you, Commissioner, for a good meeting, and thank you for indulging all the people who came forth to speak came forth during the public hearing. To always know that when a citizen comes forward to address their commission, the concerns of their city is always something that's really, really great, and we should always encourage that. So I really thank you for that. So no further comments or saying anything. All in favor, please say aye. Raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Have a good evening. Thank you.
Aye. Have a good evening.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.